Do the Jets have an elite pass rush?
No huddle, Wilson end zone, caught, touchdown, Elijah Moore.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and before we hop into the video, just wanted to remind you guys we are doing a 500 subscriber giveaway once we hit 500 subscribers. Help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. If you are curious about how to enter and what you might win, there is a link in the comment section and in the description about where you can, how to sign up, all of the information. It's in a video. You guys can see it. It's really, really easy. If you haven't already, go over to my Twitter page and follow me on Twitter because I will be announcing the winner over there. And yeah, that's it. Let's hop into it. So are the Jets building an elite pass rush? I think so. I think that it's not me being a real homer here by saying that I think that by the end of the year, we're going to have a top 10 pass rushing unit in the NFL. And there's a couple of things that I think are going to lead to that. And I'm going to go through those things in the video right now. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is coverage. And it's the only time I'm going to talk about anything that's not on the front four, and that is the coverage. And by adding players like Gardner and CJ Reed and pushing some of our guys down the depth chart and adding Jordan Whitehead to that backfield into the defensive back room, what you've done is you've added elite pieces to the coverage that is going to give our boys in the front four and in the trenches more time to get home. If you can make a quarterback hitch even once, that's just enough time that your pass rush needs to get home and get the quarterback on his butt. But let's talk about what we've done and the things that we've included or added to this defensive line that are going to lead to the Jets having a top 10 elite pass rush in the NFL. The first thing that we have to talk about is a player that we didn't actually acquire this year, but we acquired last year, and that's Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson was having a monster of a preseason and an offseason last year, and the guy looked like he was ready to break out onto the scene and really, really dominate in a way that we weren't expecting him to really just take over games. Now, I've always loved Carl Lawson, and I think that he was a really underrated edge rusher because he wasn't really getting the sacks when he was in Cincy, but he was getting a lot of quarterback pressures and hurries and things like that. And I think that stat is more important than the sacks, because if you can get a quarterback to make a bad decision quickly, it's almost as good and it's almost as great as a sack. So bad decisions and sacks are what you're trying to get out of your defensive line. And Carl Lawson is coming in and he looks bigger, faster, like he just looks better than he was last year physically. And so him coming back, I expect elite level production out of Carl Lawson, and you love to see that. The other thing that I love to see out of a guy like Carl Lawson, and I'm at a point to where, like, if he's healthy this whole season, extend the man. Keep him on this team, because the thing that I really, really love to see is not one, but both of the new rookie edge rushers both stated in their press conferences that the first call that they got was from Carl Lawson, and Carl Lawson said, "Hey, I'm taking you boys under my wing. You're coming to this Jets team. We're going to eat together. Whatever you need, you let me know. We can watch tape. We can work on technique. We can do whatever it is that you need." And it really just goes to show the selflessness and the leadership that you're getting out of a guy like Carl Lawson in that front four, to really take these guys that realistically are coming to take his job, and instead of pulling a Tannehill and saying it's not my job to teach these guys or to blah, 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 he's leaning into it and he's saying, "No, come with me. I'm going to teach you guys. I'm going to carry you to victory. I'm going to carry us to victory, and I'm going to make sure that we're all performing at our best. Iron sharpens iron. Let's go, and let's go win some games." And you love to see that out of Carl Lawson. And so moving on from Carl Lawson, let's talk about the two new additions that we've added through the draft. And let's start with Jermaine Johnson. Now, Jermaine Johnson, for me on my board, was my number 2 edge. Him going to Georgia and going to Florida State, he was never really asked to just go after the passer and do those things. But when we saw him do that And when we saw him say, all you need to do, you're not setting the edge, you're not doing any of those things, just go after the pass rush. You saw elite level skills, and he learned all that stuff on YouTube. You love to see that kind of stuff. The guy wanted to improve his game and not just go with what his coaches were telling him. And you love to see that out of a kid. And with the help of Carl Lawson, we're going to see a massive production, in my opinion, from JJ. I think JJ is an elite edge in the making. And us getting him at 26 is, I think, going to be looked at as one of the steals of the draft. Let's talk about the other kid that we brought in as a rookie, and Michael Clemens. Michael Clemens is exactly what you would build in a lab if you were trying to build an edge rusher. Big, really strong lower half, incredibly long arms, strong, and just a killer mentality. And again, you add Carl Lawson and some of the other guys in this edge room helping him and developing him, you're going to see, I think, Clemens is going to be a steal of the draft as well, because you got him in the 4th round and you're going to get really good production out of him. And the other thing that a proud New York Jets fans brought up, and I was thinking about it, is absolutely true. We, for the first time ever in my lifetime that I can think of, have depth, and not just depth, right? Not just 1 or 2 pieces. I mean, crazy good depth at the edge rush position. I'm talking about the fact that listed at edge right now is Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, Vinny Curry, Jabari Zuniga, Bryce Huff, Jacob Martin, Michael Clemens, Bradley Anae, Jonathan Franklin Myers, but I think he's bumping into the inside. We've got 8, 9, 10 guys listed as defensive edge players, and we can't carry all of those guys into the year on the 53-man roster. You can't do it. We're going to be in a position where the New York Jets are going to have to cut good players or move and waive good players to put them on the practice squad. I'm looking at this and I go, is Vinny Curry really going to make the 53-man roster? Is Jabari Zuniga really going to make the 53-man roster? Is Bryce Huff going to make the 53-man roster? Even with Jonathan Franklin Myers and Solomon Thomas bumping into the inside and playing as defensive tackles versus edge rushers, you're still looking at, like, let's look at the interior of the line. Let's talk about the depth there. You know, we have Quinnen Williams and Sheldon Rankins and Jonathan Franklin Myers and Solomon Thomas and Nathan Shepard and Tanzel Smart and Jonathan Marshall. We've got depth. And I think, truthfully, we're going to be bumping Q and JFM inside again, because we saw that when they were able to play next to each other and whenever they were able to play on the inside of, like, with one another, they were elite and they had really good production, because you couldn't just focus on one of those 2 guys. You had to worry about both of them, and they just disrupted that middle of the line. They carried centers and guards right into that backfield, into the face of quarterbacks and things like that, and running backs. Guys, it's crazy to look at, but we finally have depth. And it's not just depth, it's good elite depth. Jonathan Franklin Myers and Quinnen Williams are starters. Solomon Thomas can be a starter. Sheldon Rankins, maybe we don't want him to be a starter, but he has starting reps. Nathan Shepard, Jonathan Marshall, our 6th-round pick from last year. Like, we've got people on the team that aren't going to make the roster just because of the fact that we've got so much depth on the defensive line. And I think when you add all of those pieces, when you add the fact that we're going to be able to do a crazy rotation, and can you imagine a 3rd down situation where we need to go after the passer and we just run out Carl Lawson, Jonathan Franklin Myers, Michael Clemens, and freaking JFM, just 4 guys that just know how to get into the backfield and disrupt passers? It's crazy. It's crazy effective is what you're thinking about. And I didn't even talk about Jacob Martin coming from Houston, coming over, and his production and what he can do. Guys, the Jets, for the first time in a long time, have a lot of elite pieces on the defensive side of the defensive line. And I think everybody needs to watch out, because I think we're looking at multiple players on the Jets defensive line in that double-digit sack. I'm looking at Carl Lawson, I'm looking at Jermaine Johnson, and I'm looking at, honestly, Jonathan Franklin Myers as double-digit sack guys on this team next year, because I think we're going to see a lot of production out of this defense because we've added really, really good elite pieces. Now it's on Robert Saleh and Ulbrich to scheme these guys into position and scheme these guys into ways to get into that backfield, because it's no longer a question of we don't have the talent. We've got the talent. We've got so much talent that if people just don't get hurt, we're cutting good players, starting players on other teams in this league. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Do you think that we've got an elite pass rush? Are you excited to see this team just annihilate quarterbacks and offensive lines throughout this league? Let me know. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And last but not least, go Jets.